All right, Donald Trump is officially the president of the United States. Although this makes me happy for the trajectory of the world, specifically the trajectory of Eastern Europe and the trajectory that we were on towards World War III, which might go in the other direction. Hopefully we have world peace, or at least we go towards world peace. And also makes me happy because my family live in the United States and it's going to make the border better. It's going to make security better. Hopefully, let's see. If you are a US citizen and you have assets abroad, and you have companies abroad, you have investments abroad, things might actually get harder. Taxes might actually increase for you. Things might actually get more complicated as a US citizen abroad because Trump, although he didn't start citizenship-based taxation, that started many, many decades ago, he made it harder for US citizens abroad because he introduced the GILTI tax with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So essentially, US citizens, if they had a company abroad, let's say you're a US citizen, you have a company in Dubai, a couple of years ago, before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you did not need to pay taxes back to the United States if you had a company in Dubai, because Dubai or UAE had 0% corporate tax rate. You didn't need to pay back to the IRS. And after Donald Trump, there was now the GILTI tax, which is half of the corporate tax rate in the United States, meaning that if you have a company in Dubai, you own it 100%. That company did not pay tax in Dubai or the UAE, but it had to pay back half of the corporate tax to the IRS, which was 10.5%. Now, although corporate taxes might not go up, and the GILTI tax will not go up because it's half of the corporate tax, things might actually get harder to report because of Donald Trump's and the Republican Party. Their agenda is America first. They want to make America great again. Therefore, if they want to incentivize investments into America, they want to incentivize Americans to bring their businesses back to America, that means that businesses abroad owned by Americans will get more complicated to report. We have FATCA, which means that you need to report all your bank accounts abroad, or all the banks around the world. If you're a US citizen or born in the US, or they find out that you have US citizenship, they will report it back to the United States. If you have a bank account, you need to report it. If you have a company abroad or a trust abroad, you need to report it back. That might actually get more complicated in order to incentivize US citizens abroad with companies abroad to bring those companies back into the United States. So in my personal opinion, because I renounced US citizenship 1 year ago, a little bit over a year ago, because it was just too complicated. I had multiple other passports. I didn't want to go back to the United States, although now I'm thinking to go back and visit family. That's why I'm considering getting a citizenship that has visa-free access, or just applying for a visa. As a person that renounced US citizenship on my Serbian passport, my Mexican passport, what I would recommend you, as a US citizen that is traveling the world, that is moving abroad, that has companies abroad, that has investments abroad, real estate abroad, is to prepare for it to be harder as a US citizen abroad and to diversify your options. We made a podcast with one of our clients, Dan. He got citizenship by exception in Serbia, so now he has 2 passports. His wife gave birth in Mexico, and now he has permanent residency in Mexico, and in 2 years he's going to have a Mexican passport. Essentially the same portfolio that I have. Serbian, Mexico, and also I got citizenship by investment in St. Kitts. He's looking to get a citizenship by investment in Turkey, having multiple other passports to then potentially renounce his US citizenship. I don't push anybody to renounce. I don't tell them, oh, just go and renounce, get rid of the US, because I know you might have other reasons. You need to go back to the US to visit family. Maybe you have older parents. Maybe you have conferences you need to go to. And not everybody can go and get Maltese citizenship, although I recommend it. If you're worth over $20, $30 million, just get the Maltese passport, replace your US passport, renounce, and then you can always go back to the US. Even if you renounce, although you might need to pay a high exit tax, which might actually get harder because he wants to incentivize Americans to come back to the US and then reinvest into the US, meaning he doesn't want wealthy Americans to renounce their US citizenship. So actually the exit tax might even be harder to avoid, or might even be higher, or might be more complicated to renounce US citizenship. So you see how putting America first and trying to incentivize Americans to reinvest back into the US is actually going to hurt Americans that are investing outside of the US. So that's why, even though I'm happy that Donald Trump won and not Kamala Harris, because I saw it as an even worse trajectory for the United States and the world, it's probably going to be harder to be a US citizen abroad. I would recommend you to do what I did. I didn't renounce my US citizenship right away. I got citizenship by investment in St. Kitts. I opened a company in the UAE, and you can open that company 50-50 with another partner that is not a US citizen. I wouldn't recommend to do it with your wife because that's what I did and then it screwed me over. But you can have a non-US citizen partner, let's say from the UK. That company then pays 9% corporate tax. It doesn't need to pay back to the United States. You would have citizenship by exception, for example, in Serbia. You can get that pretty quickly by investing in Serbia, contributing to Serbia. You can get citizenship in other countries that take a while, like Portugal, for example. Although the Portugal Golden Visa is taking 3 years to receive approval, 3.5 years in some cases, which is wild. The citizenship timeline starts when you apply for the Golden Visa. So you might actually be approved for the citizenship before you're actually approved for the Golden Visa, which is funny. Let's see what happens with that new regulation where the citizenship timeline actually applies when you start the application, but it takes 3.5 years or maybe in some cases 5 years to get approved. Let's see what happens there, but you're working towards more options to be diversified just in case you need to renounce that US citizenship. I've had clients that got El Salvador citizenship with their crypto. Now they have US citizenship, El Salvador citizenship, potentially Serbian citizenship, for example, or Bosnian citizenship. They have something in non-EU Eastern Europe. They have 3 passports. They still retain their US one. They still need to pay taxes on their crypto. They still need to pay taxes around the world. They still need to report everything. But maybe they will renounce later on. Maybe they will renounce in a couple of years from now, in a couple of months from now. Maybe their crypto assets go up so high that they need to renounce. Yes, they'll need to pay an exit tax, but it might be lower than what they would pay if the prices continue to go up, or maybe they're launching a crypto project, they're doing a massive sale, they're selling a ton of real estate. Whatever the reason is, they might be preparing to renounce later on. And what I would also recommend you doing as an American is to look at your family tree to see if you have any citizenships by descent. I have American clients that have gotten citizenship in Lithuania, in Greece, in Italy, and then you can replace your US passport with one of those passports. If you see things getting worse for US citizens abroad, you replace your US passport with your Lithuanian citizenship by descent. You can still go back to the US without a visa to visit family, and overall, you don't have the hassle of being a US citizen abroad with all the horrific, complicated documents that you need to report back to the US. So even though I'm happy that Donald Trump won, he said that he's going to remove US citizenship-based taxation. I don't see that really happening because other countries, specifically other NATO countries and EU countries, are going in the direction of taxing their citizens. For example, France just launched a potential citizenship-based taxation. Australia is trying to launch citizenship-based taxation. The UK is also going that direction. I don't really see the US going in the other direction and letting all these evil, rich US citizens that use their US passport pay less taxes. That narrative is not going to work. Rich, wealthy US citizens abroad that pay less taxes than US citizens in the US, we're not just going to make them pay less taxes. That looks horrible for the average population. The average person is not going to vote for that. The average person doesn't want to make your life easier. So overall, I don't really see it going that direction. It's a net negative for the United States, so expect things for US citizens abroad to get worse. Diversify your passports and your residences. Be prepared to renounce. We will see what happens over the next couple of years. If you want to get a second passport to have more freedom, potentially renounce your US citizenship, or just have a second option, check out this video right here on how to get second citizenship by investing into real estate. There are many countries around the world that will give you a second passport by buying real estate in that country. Check out all the options right here.